Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Elin, and in this video we are going to go over the 5 bet types of roulette cards. But before we get started, try to keep an eye out for the letters and numbers in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. The first 5 people who send an email to email@roulettecards.com with the 5 letters and numbers in the correct order will receive a promo code that will allow them to use roulette cards for free. And in the subject, just go ahead and put promo number 2. All right, so roulette cards has 5 distinct bet types that it uses. And each bet type is composed of 3 bet components. And so before we dive into the bet types, let's go ahead and take a look at the individual bet components. The first bet component is the low-high. And this is where we go ahead and place a required amount of units on the 1 through 18 or the 19 through 36. And so what you'll probably notice right away is this has pretty much the same effect as far as even and odd and red and black. However, we have specifically chosen this bet component because it allows us to compose this with our other 2 bet components to give us greater coverage of the overall roulette table. The second bet component is a dozen bet, and this is where we go ahead and place the required amount of units on the first 12, second 12, or third 12. And similar to the low-high, we want to make sure we place our bets on the first 12, second 12, and third 12, and not on the other dozen bets that are on the far left-hand side of the table. And again, this is because we want to be able to compose our bet types to cover the maximum number of squares. And so this particular kind of dozen bet allows us to combine our bet components. And then our third bet component is a square bet. This is also called a corner bet, and this allows us to cover 4 squares. And then again, this is then combined with our dozen and our low-high to give us the greatest amount of coverage across the table. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our 5 different bet types. The first bet type is our low-high. It consists of placing 1 unit on our 1 through 18 or the 19 through 36. It costs us 1 unit. We have a win percent of 43.7% with a profit of 100% on a 0-0-0 table. The second bet is a 2 dozen bet, where we place 1 unit on 2 separate dozen bets, and this has a cost of 2 units with a win percent of 64.9% and a profit of 50%. Our third bet type requires us to place 3 units on our low-high and then 2 units on a non-overlapping dozen bet. It costs 5 units with a win percent of 78.9% and a profit of 20%. Our fourth bet is a 2 dozen and 2 square bet. Here we place 3 units on 2 of our dozen bets, and then we place 1 unit on 2 square bets. Again, it's very important to make sure we do not have any kind of overlap between our bets, because again, we're trying to maximize the amount of squares we're covering. This has a total cost of 8 units, has a win percent of 84.2 and a profit of 12.5%. And then finally, we have our low-high, 1 dozen, and 1 square bet. And so for this, we go ahead and place 9 units on a low or a high. We go ahead and put 6 units on a dozen bet, again, making sure not to overlap. And then we place 2 units on a square bet. And again, very important that we do not overlap. Otherwise, you're not going to get the same win percent. This has a total cost of 17 units, 89.5% chance of success with a profit of 5.9%. Okay. So what we then do with all of these bet types is when we put the bet types together, we're actually allowed to actually control what our odds of success could be. So in this particular example, if we start off with our very first bet in our bet sequence with a low, high, and 1 dozen, we have a probability of winning 78.9%. If we lose that and then go to a 2 dozen bet, that 2 dozen bet has a 63.2% chance of success. If we lose that, then we go to another 2 dozen bet, and that has, again, a 63.2% chance of success. So what we can then do is, looking at that sequence of bets, we can figure out what the cumulative probability of failure is and what the cumulative probability of success is. And this particular bet sequence is actually quite good. We have a 97.1% chance of actually completing this bet sequence with at least one spin. All right, and so that's kind of the idea behind roulette cards, is the ability to combine bet components to make bet types, and then combine bet types and turn those into a bet sequence that has the highest probability of success for us. And then we consistently keep choosing we keep consistently choosing the best bet sequence as we move through our strategy. Okay. And so that is it for this video. I want to thank you for your time. And then again, hopefully you were paying attention and you were looking for those letters that were in the lower left-hand corner. Please, again, send those to email@roulettecards.com. And the first 5 people who do that will receive a promo code worth $25 to let them use the application for free. All right, thank you very much.